beautiful people, the beautiful people, the beautiful people, the beautiful people. What do you say? Something beautiful, something free. Hey, you are trying to be clean. You live with the experience on every plane. The beautiful people, the beautiful people, the beautiful people, the beautiful people.
I remember walking into a game store and seeing SmackDown Shut Your Mouth for the very first time. Here in the UK, we have a game store chain named Game, and they would let track modes from various games play on their big screens as you walked in the door. I don't know if they still do that because I haven't been in one of their stores in years, to be honest, but I walked in one day and a match from SmackDown Shut Your Mouth was playing on the screens. It was Chris Jericho versus somebody, I can't remember who, but it was at that very moment when I decided I had to get a PlayStation 2. I was really impressed seeing GTA 3 in action, and when Vice City came out I was blown away by the look of that particular game. I'd thought about saving up for a PS2 after seeing Vice City gameplay, but SmackDown Shut Your Mouth completely sealed the deal for me because it looked amazing. Not only was it a big graphical update from Just Bring It, but the gameplay looked smooth as butter. New animations for reversals and moves made Shut Your Mouth look incredibly fluid, and I was blown away watching Jericho transition from one move to another while countering his opponent in an almost seamless manner. So I was completely sold from the moment I laid eyes on the game all the way back in 2002. After saving money where I could and getting a little help from relatives, I picked up a PS2 at the end of 2002 along with Vice City and Shut Your Mouth, and I'm almost embarrassed to admit how much time I put into those games because they were both so good. I haven't been feeling the best recently, so I went back and played some Shut Your Mouth to see if it still holds up today. I recorded a lot of footage, so let's take a look at SmackDown 4 in today's video. Put the game in your PlayStation 2 and you'll get greeted with the SmackDown opening video from 2002, the Beautiful People version by Marilyn Manson. It's absolutely perfect for getting you fired up, and I remember letting this video play out most times I started a new session. The menus in the game have been given a complete overhaul with video screens showing some WWE action while you make your selections, and I feel this is important to point out too because the menu system in Just Bring It was a little bland and a bit, I don't know, a bit generic. We don't have a terrible amount of options to choose from in the main menu. We have a create mode, a season mode, exhibitions and options. We'll take a look at the main choices in a moment, but first let me show you the basics and show you how the game plays. Now, I know it doesn't look like much now, but these character models were insanely good at the time and they were a big upgrade from Just Bring It. During this era, the models got better with each release and the guys and girls in Shut Your Mouth did benefit from a graphical overhaul, but admittedly there are some issues with characters. Booker T has some of the widest eyes you'll ever see, and this would be fine if he didn't stay so wide-eyed for his entire entrance. With DDP, they tried to give him that positively paid smile and it ends up looking a bit creepy. And when folks talk to you backstage in season mode, their mouth movements look a bit off, but that's the only real complaint you can have for a game released in 2002. Entrance animations look spot on, the arenas and stages look very good, with each pay-per-view and weekly show feeling different. So the overall presentation for Shut Your Mouth is excellent. In comparison to Just Bring It, it's on a complete different level. Take a look at this side by side and you'll be able to appreciate the graphical upgrade a whole lot better. On surface level, not a lot has changed when it comes to the basic gameplay. You have a strike button. Tapping X performs a normal strike while adding a direction on the D-pad gives a stronger strike or a strike variation. And just look at how they captured The Rock's punches with the opponent getting up again to feed for another. This is one of the key elements that makes Shut Your Mouth a lot better than its predecessors, but more on that in a moment. You can tap X a few times without a direction to pull off a combo. The Rock has his spit punch for his third strike. Topping Circle performs an Irish whip. You can top a direction after topping Circle to throw your opponent wherever you want. And pressing a direction at the same time as Circle is going to perform a grapple move. There's 3 different states your opponent can be in, which determines what moves you're going to perform. There's normal standing, stunned, and groggy. Getting your opponent in a stunned state can be as easy as lifting him off the mat and grappling with him, though getting your opponent groggy can be a little trickier. Certain moves can make your opponent groggy and set them up for a finisher in a seamless manner. So, for example, Triple H can perform his facebreaker knee smash to move straight into a pedigree. You can also double top Circle to lift your opponent up and they'll be groggy for a limited time, or you can kick your opponent in the midsection and create a small window of grogginess to pull off a bigger move or a finisher. If you tap the finisher button again when your wrestler's laying the smackdown, you'll get this 360 camera effect, but it only works in one-on-one matches. Now, this grapple system isn't perfect, and the next SmackDown game would introduce probably the best ever grapple system in any SmackDown game ever, but you will adapt pretty quickly. Yuke's did a wonderful job in animating moves and counters in a way that puts your opponent in various states, but this also means you'll need to learn the best moves for your chosen wrestler depending on the situation or state you want your opponent to be in. The thing is though, it's so much fun playing with different wrestlers in this game because, for the first time ever, proper care's been taken to make wrestlers play vastly different from one another. Take Kane for example. One of Kane's moves will make him no-sell punches and set his opponent in the stun state. It's a brilliant way to set up moves and make the transition into the next move more unique. He also has a move where he takes a punch, but he hits his opponent right back, and he also gets out of the ring the same way he would on TV. Rob Van Dam, one of my favourite characters to play as, floats around the ring pulling off high risk and high flying moves like no one else in the game. Previously, everyone played the same, but when you choose someone like RVD, you'll want to learn how to go from move to make these jaw-dropping sequences that were not possible in other games. Kurt Angle's another one who plays different. The Olympic gold medalist isn't just a suplex machine, he's well versed in submission wrestling, and you can get submission victories pretty early on if you remain focused and choose his submission moves over his more impactful moves. These are only 3 wrestlers I've mentioned. Most of the big names in the game have enough unique moves and animations that you're gonna feel like you're actually playing as that superstar and not the same guy with a different model and different finishing move. This all sounds like fundamentals in today's games, but back then this was pretty revolutionary. Anyway, just to get back to Rock and Farouk here quickly, the square button lets you dodge, jump over, get behind and leapfrog your opponent. Again, another great tool for setting up the next move. Reversals and counters are performed with the square button too, and as much as I can praise this game, I will say the countering system isn't what it needs to be. Topping square on its own should counter a strike, while a direction with square counters moves. It's very hit and miss, especially when you haven't played the game in a long time, so do keep that in mind when you go back to SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. All in all though, the upgrades to the fundamentals are extremely impressive, and you can tell that wrestlers and wrestling matches have been studied in order to create these move transitions and unique animations. It plays fast too. As authentic as the moves are, it still feels a little arcadey, but it works well. New animations don't only extend to strikes, grapples and counters though. Weapon animations have also been overhauled, with chair shots looking more impactful and pushes from the ladder looking more devastating. Your opponent's gonna bounce off the floor when pushed off Hell in a Cell, and you too can bounce on the floor after jumping off the SmackDown Fist or the King of the Ring chair at the entranceway. Yeah, this was actually a pretty big deal back then, and many fans will recall jumping off the Fist and doing all sorts of crazy moves. You can also remove the turnbuckle pads for the first time to do extra damage. And speaking of extra damage, you can fight in a wide range of backstage areas. Before we take a walk around the arena though, let's take a quick look at the roster. The roster we've got here is a good one. It's a post-invasion roster with many guys making their SmackDown debut, including Billy Kidman, Booker T, Brock Lesnar, Kevin Nash, Hollywood Hogan, DDP and Ric Flair. There's 60 superstars here in comparison to the 44 found in Just Bring It. But again, remember that extra care's been taken this time around to make all the superstars unique in terms of movesets and animations. You can unlock new attires for wrestlers as you play through the game, and some of these new attires are good. You can get the black and white and red and yellow Hulk Hogan for example. It is a good roster, with the only big omission being Scott Hall. Scott got released late into the game's development. He was scheduled to appear, but he didn't make the cut unfortunately, and his appearances in career mode were replaced with X-Pac. Alright, match types. The Hell in a Cell makes a return, and as mentioned, there's a few new animations for throwing your opponent off the cell. Ladder matches are here, along with TLC matches, and upgrades the weapon handling and weapon strikes make these matches a lot more fun. You can have cage matches too, but make sure you're on the ball here or your opponent can escape in a matter of seconds. I Quit matches make a comeback where you'll beat your opponent so badly that they have to say the magic words into the microphone. What else have we got here? The wonderful special referee matches that are an absolute joy to play with friends. There's nothing quite like being an asshole referee, and I do wish this mode was brought back in newer releases. There's Iron Man matches, 3 Stages of Hell matches, table matches, a ton of multi-man matches including tornado variations, battle royals, Royal Rumbles, and you've also got a total of 6 superstars in the ring at the same time while maintaining a solid 60 frames per second. What many fans will remember though is the backstage areas available in hardcore matches. In SmackDown Shut Your Mouth matches may start in the ring, but you can travel to other areas, from the arena corridors to the boiler room, from the streets outside to the subway station, all the way to Times Square, New York, and WWE's The World Restaurant. What's special about all these areas though is the fact that they're all linked together. You can make a journey all the way to Times Square and hop on the subway to go back to the arena if you want to. So gone are random backstage areas, and instead you've got this whole map you can explore with quite a lot of interactive items and hotspots along the way. Backstage fighting isn't for everyone, I know, and many prefer to keep the action in the ring, but I think it's great that the option's available to explore different places and take your matches to new locations. Before taking a look at season mode, I'll show you guys creation mode. I always feel like I have to show create a wrestler off, even though I'm absolutely horrible at making superstars. Tons of options available this time around, and there's a ton of pre-compiled movesets that will help you make your creations as authentic as possible. I downloaded a save file some guy uploaded featuring a ton of created superstars, and let's see what we've got here. There's the Crow, looking great, nothing to complain about there. Big Papa Pump Scotty Steiner, nothing like doing the 69er with Scott Steiner, guys, remember that. We've got, oh, it's Harry Potter. He has quite the unfair advantage, doesn't he? Super Saiyan Goku likes to dance, and he also likes to wrestle apparently. What this game really needs though is Carnage and his creepy Carnage entrance. That's a bit too much. And there's the Incredible Hulk with an entrance quite similar to Bill Goldberg's. As far as created wrestlers go, for the time, these aren't bad at all. I know I couldn't do much better, so congrats to our guy here, Amidio, for uploading these way back in 2003. Do you want to see more? Oh, I know you want to see more. So here's Iron Man entering the ring at WWE Backlash to wreck a few heads. Wolverine's here, and it looks like this one's based on Hugh Jackman. Mick Foley's been created because there's not one of the 3 faces of Foley available in the Shut Your Mouth roster. Captain America is here. Yeah, that's Captain America, alright. Samus in her fusion suit. I like that the creator went with a different version of the suit right here. And here's Sabretooth, looking like an absolute bum. So this will hopefully give you a good idea of what can be created in SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. You're only limited by your imagination and the customization options available in the game. You can also create animations such as taunts and celebrations. I could never do any better than a little jump and an arm raise. I think this kind of thing was way too limited back in the day, but credit for including such a mode in the game. I'm pretty sure Yuke's tried to implement this again in future games before completely giving up on it. Now, for this video, I didn't play through the entire season mode, and there's so much variety and branching paths that you'll never see everything in one sitting anyway. But what we've got here is a robust single player experience that was put together really well. When you first start season mode and after you pick your character, you'll go through the WWE draft. You have a few options here. You can pick a brand and choose their superstars, or you can skip it and let the game decide who goes on what show. If you choose a created superstar, you'll go straight to Sunday Night Heat, but if you pick anyone else, you'll automatically get entered into the draft. I picked Kurt Angle, I ended up on Raw, and before you begin your first match, you'll be placed in a corridor inside the arena and the world is your oyster. You can walk around and talk to other superstars. Sometimes this can set up a match, sometimes you'll get punched in the face. Most times though, it's pointless chatter that doesn't lead to anything at all. Still though, when you see someone standing around, you want to talk to them just to see if something new happens. You can also visit the GM's office to check your stats and ask for a title shot, although natural storyline progression will also lead to title shots. You can visit the shop zone area and purchase unlockables. You can even leave the arena and walk around the streets looking for other superstars who've been kicked out of the locker room. The exploration side of things made Shut Your Mouth story mode feel really big. It felt like the possibilities were endless, and it was a nice diversion from the typical match after match style of previous games. Just Bring It did have a first person mode too, where you walked around backstage, but it was nowhere as big as this. My first storyline as Kurt Angle was all about getting a shot at The Undertaker's Undisputed Championship. A few other guys wanted the opportunity too, so Nature Boy Ric Flair organised a mini tournament to see who would face the Dead Man. After beating Kane on pay-per-view, I was named next in line for a shot at the gold, and after agreeing to appear at the UK Insurrection event, I ended up going to Judgment Day where I won the Undisputed belt. Now, if you take a step back, you can already see there's a lot of variables here that led to this short 3-month storyline. If I picked someone lower on the cards, then I wouldn't have gotten the title opportunity so soon. If I picked the champion instead, then none of this would have happened. I also could have declined to appear at the UK show, and I also could have lost the #1 contender match to Kane, and the title match at Judgment Day wouldn't have happened. That's the beauty of Shut Your Mouth's career mode. There's a lot of options and a lot of different career paths that you can travel on, and you would have been pretty motivated to see everything the game has to offer by playing season mode over and over again. Real life WWE storylines are also implemented in the game. For example, the Raw and SmackDown GMs wanting to sign Stone Cold Steve Austin. That little piece of business plays out in the video game too as a separate cutscene. And the arrival of the New World Order also plays out in story mode if you follow the correct career path. There's a lot I like about this mode. I wasted a ton, and I mean a ton of time playing season mode when I first got this game. And I know for a fact that I still haven't seen every cutscene and every storyline the game has to offer. You'd need to carefully map out your career progression and make careful decisions to see absolutely everything, or you can just have fun and play without worrying too much about the consequences of your actions. The career mode is very, very good. Some of the backstage free roaming can feel pointless, and sometimes it's unrewarding to walk around for 10 minutes only to find no one to talk to, but you can also totally skip the free roaming parts if you want. Where SmackDown Shut Your Mouth truly shines is in the gameplay. The bell-to-bell action that's made much more authentic and fun to play thanks to the upgraded moves and counter animations. You can tell that way more work was put into this one in comparison to previous games, and there's a real effort to make things feel more like the action we see on TV. It's another case of putting yourself back in late 2002 and playing it for the first time though. I'll never forget how excited I was to see the game in action, and as mentioned, just seeing a demo of the game inside a store made me want to buy a whole new console. The next game in the series, the critically acclaimed SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, made a ton of improvements that fixed a lot of the issues I personally had with Shut Your Mouth, including the reversal and grapple systems. There's a reason why Here Comes the Pain gets all the accolades when people talk about WWE games on PS2, but Shut Your Mouth sticks with me a bit more because it completely sold me on WWE games for a new generation of consoles. While Shut Your Mouth is an evolution of the SmackDown games that came before it, to me it serves as a new foundation for the greatness that was about to follow, and the next SmackDown game I cover on this channel will look at that greatness in detail. Thanks for watching guys, I hope you enjoyed this one, and take care.